All right, welcome to Project 2 for Module 1 in our unit on Microsoft Excel. I have our instructions and our starting spreadsheet open and ready to go. I'm using Control-Tab to switch between these apps to go from the instructions to Excel. First thing I'm going to do to get started is save this file as the same file name, except change that 1 to a 2. Make sure you're saving this to a place on your H drive that you know where it is and that it's organized. And let's get started. So our first instruction, step 1, says, Martin Hernandez is an operations coordinator for Retail Pro, a sales and marketing company that works with retail businesses throughout the southwestern United States. Martin travels frequently to consult with clients and make sure they are arranging stores and featuring products in the most profitable way. He has created a worksheet to track his expenses and asks for your help in completing it. So again, we're organizing information, organizing data. That's what Excel does best. All right, so we have to be careful to get every part of each step. Some of them have multiple steps within the numbered step. So first, we're going to go to the travel expenses worksheet. The travel expenses worksheet can be found on the bottom here, and you can see we have multiple sheets in this workbook. This is going to be the one where we'll be doing all of our work. Continuing on, merge the cells in range B2 through I2. B2, let me just scroll over here. There we go. B2 through I2. I'm going to hold Shift and click in order to select B2 through I2. By default, we have a merge and center button. We don't want to center this though. So what we're going to do here isn't really going to change the look of this, but it will change how these cells behave. We'll click the drop-down button here and select Merge Cells. All right, there it is. Next, in step 1, in cell B13, enter 5/3/2021 as the date. B13, 5/3/2021 as the date. Enter or tab to lock that in. There we are. Step 2, apply the accent 3 cell style to the range B10 through I10. B10 through I10. Select the style. Yours will look different on Windows as it does here on Mac. But we want to drop this down. This should all look the same. And what we're looking for here is accent 3. Done. Step 3. In cell C16, use Retail Conference in Houston as the complete entry for the cell. Cell C16, double click, and complete this by adding in Houston, capital H there. Also, in cell D11, enter 65 as the number of miles driven. D11, 65, lock it in. Step 4. In cell E11, enter a formula without a function that multiplies the number of miles driven, cell D11, by the current mileage rate, 0.55. Let's break that down. In cell E11, enter a formula without a function. Remember, functions like the sum function that we'll see down here in step 6 are kind of like algorithms. They're built into Excel. In the example of the sum function, it adds. So we need to write our own formula, not using one of these built-in functions. And that function that we write should multiply whatever's in D11 by 0.55, okay? And that's the way, the way this is set up. These things in parentheses, that's basically a hint. It's telling you how to write it. So that's what we'll do. When we write a function, we start with equals. The value of this cell equals, right? It equals the value of cell D11, and you can click that, or you can just type it in, multiplied by, or times, and that's going to be Shift 8 on most keyboards to get the star. That's what we need for multiplication. And we're going to multiply it by 0.55. That's the current mileage rate. You can see that over here in cell I3. Now, if I were making this spreadsheet, instead of typing 0.55, I would just have it refer to I3. That way, if the mileage rate changes, it would automatically update this for us. But hey, that's what they want. That's what they're getting. All right. So you should get 35.75. And then we're going to use the fill handle to fill the range E12 through E16 with the formula that we just wrote in cell E11. Remember, that fill handle can be grabbed here on the bottom right. You'll know you have it when your cursor is black, like a black plus sign. Click and drag straight down to cell E16. And when you release, it'll automatically apply that function to these cells. You can double check to see what it's doing by clicking any of these cells. If you click in the formula bar, it'll tell you what that formula is. If you click, it'll show you what cell it's referring to. And you can see it's referring to the mileage, in this case 80, and multiplying that by 0.55. You would expect that to be a number slightly higher than half of 80, right? So slightly higher than 40. And sure enough, it's 44. So you can tell it's working. You should always check, just make sure it makes sense. All right. Step 5. Apply the accounting number format to the range E11 through I16. All right, so E11 through I16. I'm just going to press Shift, hold Shift, and click I16 to select this whole range. And we'll want the accounting number format, which is, there's a button shortcut for it here that looks like a $sign. If you mouse over, you can see it says accounting number format, and this is what they want, okay? There we are with step 5. Step 6, in cell E17, enter a formula using the sum function, so this time we're using a function, to sum the mileage expense, which is the range E11 to E16. All right, so in E17, right here, E17, we need to sum this range. Now, we've learned this before. There's a nice shortcut for this, and it is the button called AutoSum, right up here in the top right. You can simply click that, and what that's going to do is it's going to type that whole formula, the exact one that we want, including the correct range that we want. So Excel is smart enough to know that when it sees a list, it's going to add them all up. It's not going to do anything with cell E10. It's just going to grab this. That is what we want. So make sure that if you use the AutoSum, that it is doing what you want it to do. And then, yeah, you can just click the check mark or press Enter or Tab to lock that in. And this is what we want. You could also type it out. But this time we're going to use that AutoSum button. And then we're going to fill the range F17 to I17 with the formula in cell E17. So just like we did before, we're going to grab that fill handle, but instead of going down, obviously this time we're going to go to the right, and this will give us our totals going across. Why? Because it's filling in the same function, the same formula, sum. If we click, again, click, and it'll show you what it's doing. It's adding up these numbers. This one is adding up these numbers, and so on. We copied that formula across the bottom here. So we're getting totals for each of these independently. Step 7, in cell B21, change the font to Franklin Gothic Book Body. And that's the trick with this one is, what do they mean by body here? Haven't seen that yet. Well, let's go to cell C21 right here. And changing our font. And as soon as you click, you'll notice that we've got theme fonts. There's a theme font, Franklin Gothic Book Headings, and Franklin Gothic Book Body. So Excel has built into the theme that we're using certain fonts with certain attributes, like it could be the font size, whether it's bold or italicized, anything like that. So this is the one that we want for this project. We don't want to go hunting for it down like we usually do in that long list of fonts. And next, we're going to copy the value in cell C5 and paste it in cell D21. So the value in C5, this employee ID, Control C to copy, and we're going to paste it in D21, where it's approved by Control V to paste. We're not deleting it from here, so it will appear in both places. Step 8, change the style of the pie chart in the range B23 to E36 to style 8. Don't be fooled by them giving you the range here. We don't need to select that range. When we change the style of a chart, all we need to do is click on it. When we click on it, we get some different options up here. Now in Mac, it says Chart Design. In Windows, it probably just says Design up here. Regardless, we want to find Style 8. Style 8. Let's see, it should be this one. There we go. And it should look like this. That is the last step. So make sure you save your work. It should already be saved as your number here with the 2 at the end. But make sure you save it, turn it in, grade it, correct any mistakes. Good luck.